Respected Commander V.K. Banga, Chairman IPSC, Sri Jagdish Reddy, President HPS Society, Mrs. Lalita Shankar, Principal in Charge HPS, Dr. Sumer B. Singh, and the Acharyas who are present here. Namaskar to all of you. Today, my job has been made much easier thanks to Dr. Sumer Singh, who has practically given you all that I probably would have liked to say. So I would first like to thank Dr. Sumer Singh and also congratulate you, sir, on being awarded the Lifetime Achievement Award. I think you richly deserve it. I find that the theme of the conclave, strengthening roots, spreading wings, I think is probably the most appropriate for the day or for the time. But unfortunately, there is a mismatch between the subject that you have chosen and the chief guest that you have chosen. Because I belong to the last century. I don't belong to this century. Many of you, of course, also I think do belong to the last century, but you are continuing in your field of education also, but I am out of the education field. So what I will be speaking to you probably is more a grandparent's views and not as an educationist. I would like to speak before you as a grandparent and what as a grandparent I would expect the children of today to imbibe through the education medium. It might look more like a discourse than an inaugural speech, so I'm afraid many of you are going to be disappointed, but also speaks volumes of your talent spotting, a mistaken talent spotting is what you have done. I think principals must be more careful when they spot their talents to inaugurate their conferences in future. Well, ladies and gentlemen, today more than ever, I think we need to look at the teacher-taught relationship. To my mind, that is more important. Our scriptures have always said, Asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityo ma amritangamaya. So what do they expect a teacher to do? Take them from ignorance to truth, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. And also, during my school days, which as I told you, I go back to my school days, as I told you, I'm an antique, but as an antique, I think that has its own values, and so I like to like it. We used to have a prayer session in the morning. First thing was an assembly, which was a prayer session, where common prayers had to be recited. One of the prayers that was recited was, Sahana Bhavatu, Sahano Bhunaktu, Sahaviryam Karavavahe, Tejas Vinavati, Tamasthumavit Vishavahe, Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. It only means, may He protect both of us. May He nourish both of us. May we both acquire the capacity to study and understand the scriptures. May our study be brilliant. May we not argue with each other. Om peace, may peace prevail. This I think is essential. This is the nature of the student and taught relationship. Today, I do not know, one gets a feeling that this relationship probably needs a relook. I think we need to go back to our old days and revive this relationship between the teacher and the taught. Because when normally in those days, when we used to meet our teachers, the first thing that we would say is Namaskaram. And when you say Namaskar, it only means I bow to the Lord unto you, in you. This is the concept of Namaskar. Instead of hi, which really comes from the lips. This hi-bye concept, I think, has to be given way, and I think we need to go back to our roots, because this conference is basically addressing itself to the roots, and the roots means you have to go back to the basics. Change, of course, is the only constant. I quite concede that we need to change, but change need not mean giving away our basics. Unfortunately, today, I think the teacher-taught relationship itself has probably suffered a certain dilution. I know many of you will disagree with me, being principals, but as a grandparent, I would like to certainly put this before you. In fact, the Gurukulam concept that we had in the ancient days, the Guru and the Shishya stayed as a kulam, as a family. So the bonding was much stronger. I mean, so Mr. Sumer said, talk the boarding school concept or water school concept, we may call it. But I think the bonding is more essential, because you must understand the child spends most of the time in school, much more than the child spends with the parents, because parents, unfortunately, these days do not have time for the children. They are busy in their own lives. So the maximum time that a child spends is with the teachers, with the acharya, and that is where he has to learn everything. So you are most important. In fact, our Upanishad says, Acharya Devo Bhava. You are considered as a god. Matru Devo Bhava, Pitru Devo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava. That is how you come in. So you come in that lineage of gods, and so that is where the children look up to you. Are you fulfilling your responsibility is a question that I would like to raise amongst this audience. I know you'll disagree with me, absolutely fine, but I think we need to look at this very straightforward, because these conferences normally are very polite discussions, very theoretical discussions, high value discussions, but what comes out of it is what is more relevant. And I would certainly urge upon this August gathering to please ponder some of these basics. Instead of going to very high value things that we are talking about, we are already going to the 22nd century, the 23rd century. First, let us be prepared for today. Then we go. We certainly have to move forward. I'm not saying we have to remain static. As I told, change is the only constant. We need to move forward. But I think we need to deliberate upon certain basics, which I think we are giving away with. Values. Now today, is there something that we teach children about values? What is a value system? Why has society become what it is today? It is because the school is the one where you really sow the seeds of everything. What you learn in school is what is going to take you on forward. For example, Vedas, it is said, after studying the Vedas, when the child goes to the Guru and says, now that I completed my Vedas, I'm entering the world, what do I do? The Guru gives him only two simple slogans, Satyam Vada Dharmanchara. This encompasses the whole life. Are we doing it today? Or today are we just producing machines, earning machines? All that we're looking at high value earning machines. The moment you complete your education, you are one of the top paid stalwarts, etc. So are we doing this, or are we really producing human beings? Education is supposed to produce human beings, not robots, not wage earners, not machines. Well, certainly money is important for life for all of us to survive. But I think is that the only criteria? Have we given away to our core values? Are you teaching them what the value system is? What are the core values of anything? The other thing that I would like to talk to you about, what about pride in one's own language? I think it is time that we imbibe in the children the pride in learning its own language. There's nothing to feel ashamed about it. We all like to learn French, German, name it, all the foreign languages with great pride. When it comes to learning your own language, why do you feel shy? And I think whenever any child wants to learn a foreign language, it should also be made mandatory that he also learns one more additional Indian language. Ultimately, I think we are Indians. There's nothing to feel shy about it. It's not that only if you learn French or German that you become a great businessman or a great wage earner, and not if you learn any of the Indian languages. I think it is time that we start learning one Indian language along with the foreign language that is being put to you. Are we teaching them to respect our customs? Because each of our customs has a value. Our own heritage. That is where I think people like me come in as grandparents or parents, for example. Parents have a responsibility towards the children. In fact, the entire education system comprises of the parent, the teacher, and the student. It is a combination of all these three. It is not just any two or any one. It is not either or. It is a combination of the parent, the teacher, and the taught. And this is how it is. How are we teaching them our heritage? What is our heritage? Now, for example, if you look at it, of course, as I told you, I'm talking to you as a grandfather and more antique as anything else, but I'd like to speak my heart out to this August gathering. Today we talk about environment. After all, what is there in our heritage? We are protecting our trees. We are worshipping our trees. We are worshipping our animals. Why? Because the moment you put this term of worship, you would not destroy it. And that was your environmental protection. Why did you look at the river as a very sacred thing and had it as a thing? Because you wanted to protect the river. If we had done all this today, there was no need for cleaning up the Ganges or cleaning up the Yamuna or cleaning up the Hussain Sagar. What are we talking about? Because we have forgotten this very basics. And then we talk of environmental, somebody comes and gives you a talk of the environmental security or something else, and we all listen with great interest, saying, oh yeah, we need to protect our environment. I don't think we need to look anywhere else. It's available in India, in our own heritage. Yoga. What is yoga today? Yoga is something which has been going on for years, thousands of years in this country. But today, if somebody from the West comes and tells you the importance of yoga or the pranayama, we all take to it, and we are willing to go to a class and spend 20,000 rupees and learn pranayama. And then the fashion statement is, are you learning yoga? What do you mean, are you learning yoga? This is something which has been going on for generations in our society. So I think it is time that the schools go back to the roots. We are talking of root today. This is the root of our civilization. This is the root of our culture. Ladies and gentlemen, I think have we given away completely all this? Do we have to look westwards or look eastwards or look outwards for all these things which are already available in your own heritage? Your own value system, your own learns of morals. Now, cleanliness and use, for example, even a thing like use of turmeric, which I am sure many of you would be aware, the ladies would be aware at least. And today it's called a great antiseptic, this, that, and everybody gets on. I mean, these things have been going on for generations in our own society. There's nothing new. There's nothing that Indian heritage does not contain which is available elsewhere in the world. Starting from mathematics to medicine to astrology to astronomy to metallurgy to engineering to whatever you name it, it is there in our own heritage. The whole problem is sometimes the absence of evidence is taken as evidence of absence. Many things we don't have people who are able to explain to us, and as a result we think it does not exist. Till somebody abroad comes back with that and says, oh, this exists, and then we all lap it up and say, oh, this exists. Then we think yoga is important. Then we think pranayama is important. Then we think eating vegetarian food is important. Somebody has to tell us. I think this is the time which I would like principals, addressing the principals, that you need to put back that, the thing on the rails. Children must go back to the roots. This is more important than teaching them various other things. Of course, you are teaching the whole thing after ultimately he has to survive in a very competitive world. I quite agree we are in a very competitive world. But at the same time, are we going away from our basics? Respect for elders, peers. How much are we really teaching them on this? Today, respect, I think, is something which you have to give and earn. Today, that is what is probably bringing about a lot of indiscipline in society, because we don't know how to respect each other. We are completely given up that concept of respect. Respect for a girl child. Many of the schools I know are co-educational. I was also in a co-ed school. But then we used to sort of mingle with each other. We used to look up at them as sisters. Have we completely given up this whole concept of teaching these children how do they really look at their own colleague students or girl students? And that is why the society today is being torn in this sort of a situation. I think because we have stopped giving them the values of what a sister really means, what a girl child really means. And school is the place, because if you are able to imbibe that at that root, I think the root will really spread. But if we think that all that school means, a girl means for something else for him, I think unfortunately no. I think that is where I think that role of the principals becomes very, very crucial. I'm telling you very basics, ma'am. I know that many of you are already addressing these things. It is only a reiteration. And as you all know, you as principals always been saying, repeating is learning more. The more you repeat, the more you learn. And that's why I thought I should tell this conference that these are the basics. Have you given up teaching a sort of respecting a girl child, respecting your seniors, respecting your elders? I mean, there's no longer anything called respect left in society. It is just rebellion. Rebellion for what? Revolting for what? Without understanding the basics, we think that the only thing is a revolt and rebel. I think it's time that we teach children how to respect peers, how to respect juniors, how to respect seniors, how to respect elders, how to respect society. Because ultimately, these children today are going to become members of the society. Society, what is society? Society is something which falls from the heavens. It's something which is comprised of you and me and our children. And I think all of us are responsible, because ultimately, today you may be teachers. A stage will you will probably demit your office, and like me, you will also talk as a grandmother, as a grandfather, saying, this is what I want my grandchild to be. So I think you gracious ladies and gentlemen, you are sowing the seeds of the future. The future is in your hands. And if you are not able to give the right education to the children, I am afraid we are going to go for a 6. Integrity. Are we really putting the seeds of integrity? I don't mean integrity doesn't just mean rupees and aspies. Integrity of thought, of action. That is integrity. I mean, integrity for us means only rupees and aspies. It is not rupees and aspies. The moment the integrity of thought and action comes into a child, I think ultimately he starts respecting the word integrity. Are we really teaching them something? For example, in our school days, as Dr. Sumair was just now mentioning, we used to have different types of arts. We had to do one of them, either arts, crafts, or weaving, or probably stitching, cooking, extracurricular activities. Where have all this gone today? Is there anything like that today? We all learn. I've gone through music classes, I've gone through sewing classes, I've gone through weaving, I've gone through crafts, I've gone through arts. I have failed everywhere. But then it was put in there, because the idea was that you learn various things, not just mug up lessons. Today, all that we want to say that we have got 102% results. The 2 is also added on if necessary. Out of them, 101 are 90 plus, 100 other 80 or 80 plus. That is not education, ladies and gentlemen. That is not education.
Education is turning out a perfect human being. How far have you succeeded? Actually, you should really rate yourself by saying that how many human beings have I produced this year? I think the rating of a teacher should be based on how many perfect human beings he or she has provided or produced, rather than saying how many of them have stood 90 plus. Yes, that is necessary. I'm not saying it is not necessary. The 90 plus, 100 plus is required. But basically, I think we are given away all this. Teachers have a responsibility. Now, the problem is what happens in a class many times is, I think there's such a huge classrooms. Of course, I know the public schools have very limited students in class, but normally the classroom is so large, the teacher doesn't know the student in most cases. He only knows the number, the roll call number. I think teachers must know every student, not only by name, but also must understand the child. He must be able to understand each child. I remember when my son was probably at 3 or 4 years old, when he had not learned how to tie his laces. We are talking the days in Moscow where he has to wear snow boots and take off everything. And one day when he put on his laces, he got an award for learning to tie your laces. I mean, you are looking into those very, very small aspects, but you do not understand how much joy it gives to the child when the child is recognized. A child might have a certain problem at home, and that's why he has not done his homework. I think we need to treat each child apart. You can't treat the entire class as one. Each child has a latent capability. Are we exploiting that latent capability? Are we looking at all of them with one broad brush that all of you will have to get 80 plus? Because some child might be very good an artist, somebody might be a very good player, maybe a good musician, maybe a good craftsman, and every one of them is these talents is a very useful talent. Are we really looking at it, or have we given it a go by? Are we encouraging inquisitiveness and questioning? Because questioning is always taken as indiscipline. How dare you question me? Please don't do that. Allow the child to ask questions, because I think he needs to be inquisitive. He has to have, his thought process has to be put into action. Today we have stopped that completely. Technology, yes, technology is a very, very necessary thing, is a fascinating thing. We need to sort of teach technology, we need to use technology. But has technology made our students robots? I'm aware of a school where everything goes on iPad. Nothing goes, the homework is given on iPad, the lessons are given on iPad, the instructions come on iPad. And what happens? Your entire memory system is failing today. The child's handwriting is completely gone today. In our days, first thing that we'll be taught is cursory writing or something, what you put on double lines or triple lines and you start writing. That thing is completely gone today. I don't know, I'm not talking about the public school, but I'm aware of some schools where it's all on iPad. What do you do? Where is the memory? In those days, we had to sort of memorize the Clark's tables, and we would say square root of 2, square root of 4. It used to go on like that because memory was there. Today, your memory has gone for a 6 because there's no need for a memory. You go to the iPad, you touch it, you go, Google will give you the reply. Before you can learn it, the Google has already given the reply. What is this for? Are we really spoiling the child's memory capabilities? I think it is time that while technology is used as a facilitator, I don't think technology is a substitute for brain. The substitution of technology for brain, I think, is unacceptable, unethical. You are really spoiling the child, and you will find that the more and more people stop thinking and the memory stops working, age 40 or 50 are going to have more Alzheimer's patients in India. That is what is going on, because ultimately the memory has to be kept alive. Why do you have this Alzheimer's? Alzheimer's is because when the memory goes to rest. And we are stopping this memory because all that he has to do is put. Now you ask 2 plus 7. You do this thing on this and say, okay, 2 plus 7, 2 plus 5, 7. Earlier on, it will be counting. You'll be count with your fingers, you'll count with your memory. Clark's tables people used to recite. I used to recite Clark's tables because we had to do that. That is how memory is trained. And memory is trained by constant repetition of things. And that is completely gone now because today it is only cramming. You cram a whole thing and you produce it. There's no inquisitiveness, there's no thought process, there's no thinking. All that you have to do is one single objective, is that you have to really score. Are we teaching our children the pride of being an Indian? Pride of being an Indian, being a citizen of India. There's nothing to be ashamed of saying that you are an India. Your color of skin does not matter at all. I think today Indians are the most skilled lot in this whole world. I dare say that. I think the skills of the average Indian child is far superior to anybody else. You take an Indian child and put him onto the American school, he'll probably, in the third grade Indian child in American school, he'll probably fit into 7th grade. That is level of mathematics, his level of physics, his level of whatever it is, confidence. Are we building up that confidence level in the child? Are we giving the child the necessary confidence? Or are we just making him a machine? Ultimately, what happens is, ladies and gentlemen, you must understand that your joy ultimately is in seeing your child as a perfect human being. I'll recall a personal incident. The other day I was in Chennai, where I had gone to address the 75th anniversary of the school in which I had studied. And I saw one of my teachers there, very old, but she was there in the first row, almost visually impaired. I addressed her by name first and then went on to others, and she started weeping. She said, "I'm so proud of you today that you still remember me and you address me by name." And that is your achievement. Your achievement is if you are able to proclaim and say that so and so is my ward. I taught him in class 1. I taught him in class 2. You are achieved. If he sees you tomorrow, he should say, "Namaskar, madam, I am so and so. You remember you taught me this." That is where your achievement comes. Your achievement in saying that if the child is able to recall his association in school and what you taught him and stand today in society apart from all other citizens, you have done your job. If on the other side he sees you someone and says, "Hi," sorry, no. It's a sort of removed relationship. What I want to promote is a relationship where I think the teacher, taught, and the parent live together. I'm sure you have your parent-teachers association meeting, etc., but that again is a formality, unfortunately. I've also attended many parent-teachers association meetings. You raise questions, you ask why, and the teacher is not able to explain. He's just saying, no, he scored low marks. Why? Why has the child scored low marks? I mean, you need to go into this. And these are the basics. I'm not saying anything. I'm carrying coal to Newcastle. I quite appreciate that. But I thought I should speak out my mind today as a grandparent. Are we somewhere missing out the roots? And talking of spreading, what are you going to spread? If the roots are not there, there's nothing to spread. The roots are just not there. The roots are missing. Today, all that we are doing is transplanting something and allowing it to grow. That will grow for some time, but then it will fade away. This transplantation theory does not work. You have to start from the roots. And as a theme of the conference is roots and spreading wings. I mean, the only way, for example, a banyan tree roots come from the top. Everything grows and then the root drops in. It doesn't grow from below. And that is what your roots are today. I know this conference is an extremely useful conference. It's going to deliberate a lot of very useful things. But what I would really urge upon, gracious ladies and gentlemen, principals, you are the future of this country. Let us feel safe that our children, our grandchildren are going to be safe in this country. That you are going to produce good citizens. You're going to be good human beings. You're going to produce boys who will respect girls. You see, the popular film song goes, "फूलों का तारों का सबका कहना है, एक हजारों में तेरी मेरी बहना है, सारी उम्र हमें संग रहना है." This is the concept that you have to put into your boys' students. Cricket, games. How much of games are you really exposing them today? All that he comes home, switches on the TV, then he's watching some stupid serial, then he's on his computer, and that parents are to blame for that, not you. Because the parents are busy. As parents, have we sort of given away our responsibility, have we washed ourselves of our responsibility, say, all right, we are sending him to the HPS, one of the best schools, the teacher will take care of it? No. The parent has a responsibility as much as the teacher has. It's time, because I'm saying this because many of you also must be parents, apart from being principals or school teachers. Have we as parents today given up that responsibility? Do we talk to the children? Communication between the parent and the child, has it completely snapped? Is the communication of the child only with on his mobile, just putting his SMS, he has no time to talk to anybody, just all the time you find children just tuck, 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 that's all they're doing. I mean, this is rubbish. I'm sure Hyderabad public school, they don't allow mobiles in the school. I'm sure that many other schools should not be allowing these mobiles. Children must learn the hard way. Unless you fall and get up, you will not sort of have an immunity. I mean, in the ancient days, I suppose, many times when children used to be left on the floor, the newborns, the idea was that the child will swim, the child will learn to crawl, the child will learn to get up, the child will learn to fall. And unless you get up and fall, your immunity system is going to fail. If all that you're going to do is be brought from a completely artificial oxygen atmosphere and put into the ground in Hyderabad, within 24 hours you'll collapse because the pollution levels will be so high. So we need to sort of really immunize our children. And immunizing the children means he has to fall and learn and fall and learn. I mean, there's no shortcut to success in life. Shortcut to success in life is not cramming and then reproducing and getting 100% and saying I'm straight first. I'm sorry, no. ultimate success of the education system would be if you are able to feel happy that you have produced a child who is a role model, and the child says, my teacher is a role model. Madam, ladies and gentlemen, you have achieved an objective if your child says, my teacher is my role model. Acharya Devo Bhava. He really worships the Acharya. If that can be done, I think we have achieved a lot. As I told you, you have chosen the wrong speaker for the day. But all the same, having chosen a speaker, I thought I'll say what was in my mind rather than reading out from a prepared text which is given to me, which is always given to me, and where it, of course, it's all praises and glories and roses. I thought rather than going away from the roses, let me go into the thorns also a little bit. And as I told you nothing new. All of this is known to you all, and repetition is the best way to learn things. And I thought I would thank you very much for giving me this privilege. Thank you very much.